Hey there, seekers of spiritual, tangible results.
Welcome to the no-nonsense zone, where common sense meets the spiritual. I'm Jason Park.
I'm Emma Romano, your unapologetically real spiritual guides.
We don't sugarcoat. We don't dance around the woo-woo. We just deliver the raw, kick-ass truth.
Join us each episode as we dive deep into the mystical, cut through the bullshit, and show you how to manifest the tangible results you've been craving for.
No fluff, no filters, just two mentors on a mission to elevate your mind, body, and soul.
Get ready to transform your life like never before. This is Soul Aligned Results, where spirituality meets the real world.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Soul Aligned Results. I'm energetic therapy specialist and spiritual mentor, Jason Park. And with me, as always, is internationally renowned trauma and relationship expert, the amazing
Emma Romano. It's me. Hi, everyone. It's Emma.
Yeah. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to have a talk about entities. We're going to have a talk about the non-physicals. We thought we'd get into some proper woo-woo. Right?
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Having little invisible friends that are hanging around.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
We may not be talking about that into the scale.
No, okay.
So just before we get into it, all the things, if you enjoy what we're doing and you find it of value, please let people know. Please do the like, subscribe. And if you want to find out any more information about how you can work with us or more information about our background and what we do, please check us out. We have a website, which is
Soul Aligned.
I don't know why I can never tell anyone what the website is. So yeah, soulalignedresults.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can find that. But let's talk about what we do know about, right?
Yes. We know woo-woo.
We know woo-woo, so let's talk about that.
Definitely know woo-woo. Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right. So what I wanted to do is I want to talk to a funny thing. This has sort of happened last week, and Emma and I were having a chat, and like we do every week, we get them, we work through stuff with our mentoring. And one of the things that came up was Emma had been listening to an audiobook, and she said about, a really interesting audiobook. You should have a listen to it. It's great. Anyway, I did. I had a listen to her. I started to have a listen to her. And then the next day, Emma said to me, I can't catch up because I'm really hit by a bus. And it's like, okay. And I started listening to this book and I started to go, okay, I understand why you're hit by a bus now. And we talked about, it's like, make sure you're clear, make sure you do all these things, because the problem with this book is that even though it's very good and the person who did it is very renowned, the frequency that this work is coming in on is so much lower than we're operating on. So therefore, and this is the thing about frequency people don't understand, is that you have negative energies, you have positive energies, but you can have positive energies that are a lower vibration so they function like negative energies.
Mm-hmm.
A person can give you a blessing, but if that blessing's not coming from a person who's doing the work on themselves, you're going to get the package deal. So their blessing might be the equivalent of curse. And this is very common. This is where, like Emma, you and I, we're both the same. There's very few people we let work on us because we've all played that game before. And it's no good having somebody, giving permission for somebody to work on you and then having to go away and scrub yourself clean because of all the crap that you get as part of that. So there were some interesting things that came out of it. I think one of the things that was most interesting about it was taking the concept of entities, non-physical entities, putting them into a single basket and then trying to work from that premise. And the big thing about it was built around the idea of spiritual warfare, which is very popular right now. And spiritual warfare is this idea that there is a battle between good and evil, and we have to contest evil. All right. I just want to break this down a bit because I've done a lot of this. And it's really where I built my reputation as being the person that would deal with the stuff that nobody else could deal with. And there's a number of reasons why I can do that work at that level and at the frequency of it. So I thought we'd sort of start at the start and talking about what attachments are, how they get there, and our place in it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
beautiful.
All right. So first of all, I run this. I don't want anybody to believe what I'm saying about any of this. This is not about belief. It's about knowns. So if there's anything, I'm going to set this out, take it as a metaphor, take it as all right, let's take this concept and explore it for a minute and just draw on your own experience. So
Maybe just my advice to people is don't put it in this is yes or this is no. Just be curious about it.
yeah,
Put it in a
yeah.
curiosity box. Yeah.
Intelligent curiosity,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So yes, intelligent curiosity is look at a picture of a shark, don't try and pat a shark. Right?
Exactly right.
That's important.
Yes.
Right? So with this, basically what an attachment is, and this is where it's a problem. You see, like a shark's not a problem. I don't have any problems with sharks. And the reason is I don't get in the ocean. I live in a place where you look at the ocean, you don't get in the ocean because
Yeah.
when you go
Don't
and look
play
at it, yeah, you realize it's looking back at you, right? Right. So one of the favorite things in Tasmania, it's a very perverse habit that we all have, but we get it over time, is watching tourists from tropical climates run into our waters. So we have beautiful beaches, incredibly beautiful beaches, and the ocean is beautiful. And because of where we sit on the planet, the way the sunlight hits us, blues and greens are incredibly vibrant here.
Mhm.
And so what happens is people come down, they see the ocean, they go, oh my God, but they think it's like Queensland. So
Well, here is Tasmania. He's talking about
in Tasmania,
Tasmania.
yeah, I'm talking about
Yeah,
southern
Tassie.
Tasmania, right?
Yeah.
So we watch people rush down the beach going, "Yay," and you just see it. You see it out of the corner of your eye and you're like, oh my God, it's a tourist. And they rush into that water and they forget that if you're in Queensland and you look into the ocean, well, that ocean, if you go far enough, you're going to hit places like Fiji and Hawaii.
Mhm.
Right? Now, if you look at our ocean, if you go far enough, you hit a place called Antarctica. Right. So people rush into this beautiful blue water to find out it's about 4 degrees. Right. And then they rush back out. But that's the least of your problems. Right. The hypothermia aspect's really the least of your problem. The thing is, it's like we've got like stingy, jellyfish, we've got seals, which
You're
are
really
like,
selling the Tasmanian
I know, yeah, yeah.
industry.
And people go, seals are great. Yeah, seals are great, but they're also like wild dogs swimming around. So if you decide, if you've ever seen a seal skull, it looks like a dog skull. They got these big, scary teeth in there, and they can be quite cranky about what they do. And we've got big fish and sharks and all manner of things. So when you look at the ocean's great here, but everyone's in a boat, right? Everybody's sailing around in boats, right? Or surfboards, because you can't stop people with surfboards. And my point in saying that is to understand the non-physical world, it's very similar. It's an ecosystem. If we think about it as being an ecosystem, when we encounter it, part of us lives in the physical. So we often hear this metaphor that, we're a spiritual being having a human experience. People say that all the time, but they don't think about it. So if you imagine the human body and we say, okay, there's the human body, and we say, oh, we have an energetic field, the soul and the consciousness and spirit, all that. And that's all wrapped around that. That's not correct.
Mhm.
The human being is the energetic field.
Mhm.
And as you get closer to the center of it, it gets more dense, more mass. So the densest part of us is the physical body,
Mhm.
but it is only part of us. The whole thing is us. So there are whole aspects of our life that are walking around in this physical universe, having physical experiences. And simultaneously, there are parts of us that are existing on subtle frequency levels that are so subtle that they are non-physical. And we're having this non-physical life simultaneously as we're having a physical life. And the only certainty we have about all of this is at some point, the physical life will end and we will let go of those dense aspects of ourselves. We will lift in our frequency and we will go completely into the non-physical
Mhm.
to do other things, right? So in that, what's really important to understand is that we are constantly interacting with that environment. Now, through our day-to-day, through various experiences, we can have energies get stuck to us. The way this is commonly taught, and this is probably going to upset people, and good, because if you're not understanding this, it's that you are wandering around aimlessly, you are flapping around in the ocean, unaware of what actually lives there. So if we think about it like an ocean, you can go to the beach and have a lovely paddle around in the shallows and have a wonderful day. Beautiful, right? You can also go out into that ocean and get smashed by a shark, because those things live in the ocean. And guess what they eat? They eat other things that swim around in that ocean.
So
And
true.
if you're one of them, if you're swimming around there, right, then you're tasty. That's what happens. So what's really important to us is not that we're afraid of the ocean, but that we're intelligent about the ocean. We have to go in there. I got asked many years ago, a person said to me, so how do we safely swim in the ocean? And I said, I don't know, because I go in a fucking big boat. Right? Don't go in that part of the ocean in budgie smugglers. That's not intelligent, you know? And so
Just
people
for
do it
those
all the time.
listening, budgie smugglers are baiters. They're tops.
Yeah, Australian
swim shorts.
Speedos.
Yeah, Speedos.
So you don't go in a swimsuit. Don't go in there with good intentions and a sense of, isn't it all lovely, and think that somehow that's going to protect you. You have to be intelligent about it. So first of all, we have to understand how it's structured. So if we come back to that concept that we are a spiritual being having a physical experience, then we have to understand that this universe that we're walking around in is a law managed universe. Everything is happening in a very structured way, including chaos. Chaos is part of that. So we can look at things very close up and say, this doesn't make any sense. But if we're able to separate from that, if we're able to bring our consciousness back and see a bigger picture, we start to see how everything integrates. Now, one of the things that happens is in the non-physical world, there are things which we're going to come to talking about what happens to humans after they pass away. But in the non-physical world, like any other ecosystem, there are things that live there. Things that will never be in a physical world. They will always remain there because, you know, the fish are always the fish. They're not going to jump up and be flying around with the birds or walking around like your cats and dogs. That's not what they do. They're fish, right? And so there are things that live like that. Now, generally, an attachment is where something, this energy that we're moving around, we usually have the ability to sort that just walking around. The same as you have skin and you have mucus and you have, you know, hairs in your nose that allow you to filter out external pathogens and dust and toxins and so forth that allow you to move around the physical world. You have the same thing energetic, your protective boundaries. Now, if something happens and those boundaries are ruptured, then the common thought is that things can work their way in through and get in there and attach themselves to you. That's not what I've observed over time. That was a paradigm I started with because everybody does. That's the way it's commonly taught. But my observation of it is different. If we think about protection is containing an energy at an equal force, there's a sense of equilibrium there. Now, if I have a rupture in my energetic field, what I do is I create a vacuum. And as I'm walking around, I might walk through my garden. And in walking through my garden, every day I walk past a rose bush, and that rose bush is lovely. And part of the reason it's lovely is because there are spirits, there are consciousness, non-physical entities that are taking care of that rose bush. And every day I walk past, it's no problem. But if I've got a rupture in my field and I've got a vacuum, I walk around with a vacuum cleaner. And like the same when we're vacuuming a house and we pick up something that was under the lounge we didn't realize, we hear that clunk, clunk, clunk noise.
Yep, the Lego.
We do that in the Lego. We do that in the spiritual world. We can be walking along and that vacuum will grab one of those spirits of the rose bush and suck it into our field. Now, when they're in the divine plan, when they're part of the divine plan, everything is ordered. All their nourishment, all their support, all of their purpose is there around that tree because that's where they're supposed to be, that bush where they're supposed to be. Now, what we've done is we've snatched them. We've kidnapped them unintentionally, unconsciously, but we've kidnapped them and we've put them in a place where they can't breathe, they can't eat, they can't escape.
Mm-hmm.
So they go crazy. They go frenzy. We put them in a trap. They're a wild animal in a trap.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to sustain themselves, everything has to eat. Everything has to have energy moving through it. They get energy through their creative process that they're built for, the same as we do. And when they can't, they have to consume it. So where do they get it from? They get it from you, because that's the only place they can get it from. So they become an attachment to you, and they start feeding on your energetic field. Not only that, but by the process of them feeding on you, they're also in your field. So they're projecting their thoughts, their torment, their pain. They're projecting that into you, and that's affecting your own frequency. So what happens is a lot of this stuff we see are attachments are actually innocent bystanders that have been caught up in our trauma and rubbish. And that, when you release them, what happens is you release them up to source. There's different ways you can go about it. I'll come back in a minute. But if you release them to source, source will repair them, heal them, restore them, and put them straight back where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then everything's back in the divine plan, just fits again. So there's a lot in that, right? And we can probably talk about it for hours and hours and hours. But what I want to talk about is one that's most relevant to us. So when that happens, there's a lot of different attachments that you can have. And at the end of the day, the issue is not about what's walking around in the environment. The issue is about how we are and our integrity energetically when we're walking around the environment.
Yep.
One thing I hear a lot of in the spiritual community is that people love this term, energy vampires, right? I can't stand that term. Energy vampires, what they're talking about is a person with a lot of ruptures. That's what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So that person, people like to blame energy vampires for everything. But really what we should say is like, well, okay, if you've got a starving person and you let them into your buffet, are they going to eat as much as they can? Yes. Are they going to go into a frenzy? Yes, because they're starving. Okay, yeah. They're not in control. So you can't complain that the starving person ate half the buffet if you're the person walking around as a friggin' buffet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to maintain the integrity of your own energetic field. And that's an ethical issue. You have to be in integrity with your own values, your own virtues. If you're out of integrity with that, that causes breaks, that causes ruptures. Now, there's other things that are more severe that cause that. Sexual abuse, extreme violence, domestic violence, witnessed by children, black magic, sometimes attack by non-physical entities.
Mm-hmm.
But an ancestral trauma, those things can very easily cause ruptures in your energetic field, and that's the thing that just has to be dealt with. You have to manage it. And you really need a specialist to be able to help you with that because it's very complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things, I suppose I'm going to stop for a minute because you know what I'm like when I start talking about this subject, right? So with it, Emma, I just wanted to ask you, because you and I have both done a lot of work and attachments are one of the things that we have to deal with. What do you
Yeah, I deal with my clients all the time. And you and I run retreats on this. And you, myself, and Jack, we're always removing these deep entities and dark entities from the lineage, from ancestral lines. Because I find that's where Jack and our talents lies in the lineage.
Yeah, the ancestral stuff.
Yeah, ancestral. Yeah, it's huge. But I'm also going to say that a lot of people think they're full of entities and they're actually not. They're full of their own negative thoughts about their own trauma.
That's a really important point because entities are different things. And do you mind if I jump on this for a minute?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. So one of the problems that we have, why people don't have clarity about this subject is because there isn't clarity about this subject.
I know.
People are very much caught in the idea of it's this or it's that.
And it's not.
It's always and. This work is always
and it's that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about for a minute what an entity is. So some people, the main arguments are entities are non-physical beings that attack you. Okay. And another viewpoint is entities are figments of your imagination, which you're manifesting in your own energetic field. Okay. And then that's sort of both ends. And then there's all these other views in the middle of that.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, and sometimes people have things that are attached to them that are really manifestations of energies within their own trauma. And their subconscious is trying to put it in a way that their conscious mind can comprehend. So what it does is it creates an image around it. It creates a picture that's going, yes, you're being attacked by a vampire. Why? Because it's trying to tell you about how your energy is being pulled away, being constantly attacked. So it's just, if you can get underneath the metaphor, you get to the truth of it. Right? That's one aspect. The second aspect is sometimes these things are non-physical entities. They're separate things. However, the subconscious is trying to interpret what it's looking at, and it's trying to put it in a way you'll understand. So it'll show you as a vampire, right? And you go, okay, this thing's a vampire. And then the third thing is sometimes it is a vampire, right? So it's something that lives in the non-physical, and it looks like a bear. Always looks like a bear. There's different species of bear, but you look at a bear and you go, that's a bear, that's a shark, that's a pigeon, right? We know the difference because they do look different. So there are non-physical entities that are like that. So when we see something, they're all the same. It's fascinating that I saw some footage. One of my teachers went to a Taoist monastery in China, and while they were there, they took some photos. They had this big hall full of all these representations of spirit. And he took some photos, but one of the photo was the classic Western vampire. And these statues were like 600-700 years old. So it was like Dracula hadn't been written for another 500 years, right? But
Wow.
this thing looked like we think a vampire is, but we get that picture of a vampire. We get that picture from the late 1800s from Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. It's a really fascinating thing. So there are, where there's smoke, there is fire. And it may not be exactly as we expect, but part of the mind is interpreting, part of the mind is seeing. So yeah, part of the reason why there's so much confusion about this is because people are thinking in absolutes about something that's a lot more complicated than that. And they want a simple answer, and the answer is not always simple.
Actually, the answer is simple. I'm going to tell it to you. I'm going to tell everyone. When we had entities or anything like that, it really is a metaphor of how we're treating ourselves. Because everything is for us. So if you sit there and you think, I've got an energetic vampire, where are you sucking the life out of yourself? Or where are you sucking the life out of somebody else? You know, it's like, it is actually a metaphor for us, because they really cannot hang out with us unless we're in the same frequency as them.
That's it there. That's the rupture.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it really is. I mean, they suck and get rid of them, but this is the problem. You're constructed again with the same behaviors and thoughts and feelings and actions.
Yeah.
So if you want to outsmart an entity or outdo an entity, fucking love the shit out of yourself.
Yeah.
Your boundaries are so strong that they just bounce off you. There is no room in there for them at all.
And that's a frequency thing.
That's a frequency thing. That is a frequency thing. We've got to check ourselves. Most people are in effect and they're in victimhood of, it's this, it's not me. It's always us. It's always about us. Because if I've got an attachment or there's some juju going on in my house, that's because there's either me or somebody in our house is in a very low frequency and there's an attachment. There's a window open.
That's right. There's your
then the very first person I check with is me. I don't check with my husband. I don't check with the kids. I don't check with the dog or the cat. I check me because I'm such a strong energy that they love the shit out of hanging out with someone like me.
Yeah.
Because they want to stop people like me doing that work. The same with, they want to stop us from doing this work. So I'm the first one, and it's usually me. And I just sort of go, right, well, how have I been thinking about myself? How have I been talking about myself? How have I been talking about my world? Have I been watching really shitty shows? Have I been into this? When I read that book, or I was listening to that Audible about the entities and demons and stuff, And it really fascinated me my first day. And then shit started going bad for me. Like I did not feel good at all. And I sent it to, before I felt bad, I sent it to Jason, oh, you know, get onto this book. It's good. It's very interesting. I think the day later, I was like, don't read. No, stop reading. Stop listening. It's not good. It's not good at all. Because my whole everything, I started feeling sick physically. My energy was drained. Things were going wrong in the house. Even just like things, my flip chart snapped in half.
Yeah.
My table that I hold my computer on, the wheels, I mean, physically shit was going on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Things were breaking down in the house. And I'm like, whoa, here we go. And when I was listening to the book, I actually had quite a bit of fear around it. I didn't feel good listening to it, but I kept listening to it.
Yeah, yeah, because you felt the frequency dropping.
Yes. And that's the first thing. If you don't feel good about something, don't do it. So I went against my own intuition. That's the window. I just opened the front door. The minute I go against my own intuition, I've just opened the front door, going, come on in, fellas. Come on in.
Yeah.
You know, and it's scientifically, I learned this in my 2.5 days of psychology. Scientifically, university.
That's right.
Yeah. Scientifically, it's proven that if we go with our intuition, this is scientifically proven. If we go with our intuition, we are 87% chance of getting it spot on.
Yep.
They are very freaking high percentages.
Yeah.
That is massively high percentage. I believe it's so much more, but scientifically proven, I don't know how they scientifically prove this, but there were studies all around in Harvard and all those things. And it's 87% we will get it right if we go with our intuition. It's our gut. It's our second brain is in our gut, and it's the stronger brain than our mind brain. So our mind brain is full of belief systems and trauma and just wants to keep us safe. And it's like, look, all this shit's happened before. We don't want to feel anything. We just want to kind of just be on the couch, feeding tube, Netflix.
Yep.
Whereas the gut brain wants to explore, wants to grow, wants to expand, wants to do things. That's why we can look on Facebook and a course will come up or a retreat. We go, oh, that looks good.
Yeah.
And then the brain goes, nah, don't do it. It's too expensive, or it's not for you. It'll be like one of those other ones again. The brain will talk you out of it. And then that's the opener. That's the opener. Like, catch, he's not listening, or he's not listening to himself. Love it. We're in, fellas. Let's go. And that's when you open up a window, you open up a door for them.
Yep.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It's very interesting. And there's the thing about that, about the brain, like it blew my mind when I found out about it, that this is not common knowledge about medicine. This is not common knowledge about the brain and the second brain and the third brain.
Yeah.
And it should be, because science can clearly document it, but they don't want to talk about it, because if we talk about it, we have to say that science now has become a religion. It's based upon proving itself right and around belief. And the science used to be a process. Its whole premise was proving things wrong.
Yes.
Not destroying or tearing them down, but by going, okay, if I'm a scientist, everything I know today, 10 years from now, I'll probably say is wrong, because we're going to know so much more about it. And whilst that's still floating around in the consciousness of science, that's not its practical process. Now it's very much about, no, I just want to keep proving myself right. And if something disagrees with what I think is right, I need to attack it, which is where religion got into its problems, right? Yeah. So one of the things about it is about how an embryo develops. So when an embryo develops, you think about an embryo, it's like, imagine if you curl your fingers up as a fist, then where your fingers touch the heel of your palm, that develops into the gut. The brain is the fingertips, that's the head. So that, as the embryo starts to develop, it's literally joined to where the gut is. So there are cells that are in the brain, that are in the gut, that are because the brain leaves part of itself there to develop the gut. And then as it starts to grow, you slide the palm up and it gets up and under the pad of your fingers. And then you go, that's the heart. And then that leaves cells there to develop the heart. And then it uncurls and the brain is a separate entity. And we have this idea that we have one brain and that's holding all of our memories, all of our trauma, all of our everything. It is not how it works. Every cell of our body is storing our memory. Every cell of
Right.
our body. It is being interpreted, though, through the brain in the head in a logical way.
Mm-hmm.
In the subconscious, though, most of that's being interpreted in the heart and in the gut.
Yep.
And it's not conceptually, it's not like, oh, they're metaphors. They're not metaphors. It's literally cells whose job is to interpret that trauma memory in both the heart and the gut. And they help feed into the conscious brain, which allows us to take it into logical steps. The brain is so much more complex than we think it is. And our relationship with it is so much more complex. And it's quite incredible, really quite incredible. So when we're looking at all this stuff, like, it's really important to understand that even today, all we can do is just scratch the surface of this and tell you that there is something under the surface. If we can leave that for you,
Absolutely.
if we can leave you with
Yeah.
that, we've done our job today, because
Yeah.
this is an incredibly big study. I hear people talk about this all the time. And even that audio book we were listening to, what was really interesting, this is the interesting bit, was that Emma got hammered by that book and I didn't.
Yes.
And the reason I didn't is because I have no agreement with that.
Yep.
I have done so much work at this, and I am very, very aware of the level at which I work and the skill that I have at it. And I don't trust anyone with it unless they demonstrate they're trustworthy. So I went into it without agreement because I'm not interested in what they're saying. What I'm interested in is just letting it play out and observing it and going, okay, what is challenging my perception? What do I think is valuable on my current experience, and what's going to go beyond my current experience? But at no point am I going, oh, this person's an authority, this person's great, this person's wonderful. It's like,
That's what I did. I went in going, oh, this person really, oh, this is great. He's fantastic because he's done so much health gut things. And I
which are fantastic.
really love his health gut thing. I didn't even know he was going down this route. I'm like, oh, this is going to be really interesting. And I thought, because he holds a lot of authority with me. And there was my window open.
There's your window. Your
There
agreement.
was my agreement. There was my agreement. You know more than me. And then I started going, now hang on a minute. This is not good.
This is not right, because even though very, very skilled, the ethical premise that it was built on is a lower frequency than the level at which we usually work at.
Yeah.
So, and this is one of those things. So I just want to talk to you quickly about waywards.
Mm-hmm.
So, because one of the things that happens now, the idea of spiritual warfare, and this is the thing that this guy was bringing up a lot. He talks about demons and how everything's a demon, and how demons are made out of human souls when they pass over, all these things. It's like, well, there's elements of that, but it's not correct. And it's too simple. So first of all, the word demon comes from the Greek word D-A-E-M-O-N, daemon. The word daemon in Greek means the human soul. So when we think about demons, we often are thinking about what we would term as Luciferic spirits.
Mm-hmm.
These are non-physical entities that have certain parameters around them. Compared to us, these are bad guys. We look at them and go, these are bad guys. They're not bad, they're just different. Sharks aren't bad. Will they eat you? Yeah. Because you look yummy, right? And they eat things that look yummy.
Yeah.
But if we were walking around, what's that show, the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
I love that
Right?
show.
I love it too. But if we were walking around and a cheeseburger's walking down the road, do you think a human would try and eat it? It's like, yeah. Are they bad? Also, not necessarily, but they're not thinking. They're just thinking, oh, that looks yummy, I'll eat it.
Yep.
So what happens is we get this idea that it's like, okay, these non-physical entities are bad. And religion teaches that. And there's a reason they teach it. And that's because they know what they're not telling you. They know what they're not telling you. And they know what you need to know to protect yourself. So what they do is they give you the minimum. They go, listen, we know how to do that. You call us if you have a problem. Up until then, you do this and hope for the best. And that there's a whole number of reasons for that. But one of the things I want to talk about was about waywards. So what a wayward is not, it's a daemon. A lot of stuff that we look at, we say, okay, there is a person's being attacked by a fallen angel or a luciferic spirit or aromatic spirit or something like that, or a fallen angelic or something, and we go, this is what's happening. That's not necessarily so. Most cases that are actual cases. A lot of them are actually just trauma unresolved, created into an entity. That's where the confusion is. People will go their entire career of working with people and never meet a real one. They'll only meet the shadows of these things, the constructs of these things, and therefore they assume that that's all there is. Right? So if you've never seen an elephant in real life, it's easy to disprove the existence of elephants.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen one. So it doesn't mean that you go to Burma or Thailand or somewhere like that, and they're like, what do you mean you don't believe in elephants? Right? But I've never seen a kangaroo, so so it's easy for us to disprove it. We have to keep a certain open-mindedness about it, because just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And because if I close my mind off to that, what I do is I actually create different attachment points. I create different ruptures, different vacuums, and I can suck in different energies. So when a person, this demonic possession, which is very common, what it is that when we pass over, there is a process that's set up as part of the soul contract for how we're supposed to die. And there's windows of opportunity. And those windows of opportunity around the planet is a boundary of energy. Now that energy has windows, literal windows of opening all the time. It's opening and closing, like the way a cell membrane does. And it's doing this all the time. Now, when a soul decides to come into the physical world, what the soul does is it lines up your time of death with one of these open windows in the area where you're expected to be when that happens. It's very sophisticated. Now, when you die, if you die at one of the appointed times, then what happens is all your guides are there, all the infrastructure's in place. You go to the light. You go to where you're supposed to be, and you go through that boundary. Now, if you die in a time not of your choosing, if you're a victim of violence, if you're a victim of self-violence, if you die in complete lack of clarity about you as a soul, if you are in complete denial of your soul's existence, when you die, that fear that you feel actually stops you from going to where you need to go. So you will hold yourself in the space, and in holding yourself in space, that window that opens will close, and now you're stuck. That makes a soul lost or wayward. And that soul is trapped in a little bubble of time in their own suffering. Now, they're hanging around everywhere. So if you want to know, I actually looked it up before this podcast. I thought it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Because we look at it, we go, well, like how many could there possibly be? Well, we know by looking at that ocean of lost souls, we know that it's basically infinite, because as long as people have been dying, there have been people who have passed over in great pain and confusion and have not gone over. Now,
Definitely.
there are souls in the non-physical, there are angels, there's all these other things, guardians, guides, that are working to rescue them. And they're clearing them as fast as they can. But just off the top of your head, how many people die every day?
Hundreds of thousands. I don't know.
Yeah,
How many
about
people die a
150,
day?
about 150,000 a day,
Wow.
right? Which works out at about 62 million a year.
Wow.
So if you think of how many years humans have been on this planet that we're aware of, right? How many years that's been, how many people have died in confusion and violence, that percentage, even if that was, say, 50%, that's still 30 million souls a year being added to that pool. All right. So we're not going to run out. It's topping up pretty much as fast as it can be cleared.
Yeah.
So with that, we're swimming in this ocean of lost souls. They're everywhere around us. Part of what happens with these ideas around spiritual warfare, which a lot of religious groups are very big on nowadays, is they have this idea that we have to fight demonic forces. And that was the problem with that book. It came from an ethical premise. That's why the frequency was low.
Mm-hmm.
It came from an ethical premise that the whole idea of us knowing about these is so we can fight them. So you don't have to fight them. So these are trapped souls. This is like walking down the street and seeing somebody with schizophrenia running around screaming, bashing their head on walls. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Then should we fight the homeless? Should we fight people who are mentally ill? So it's not the purpose. What we have to do is we first of all have to make sure that we're in a position that's strong enough and stable enough that we can be of service. And then we use that position to be able to figure out how to assist. So a lot of these lost souls are getting quite the raw end of the deal, because a lot of people are looking at this idea that this is something that this needs to be a war that needs to be won. It's not a war. What it is we also swim in an ocean of grace. And if we can hold the frequencies of grace, if we can allow that in, if we can be a stable enough vessel for that divine to come through us, then that's how we clear them. What we do is we hold them in that grace. They've switched off their contact with grace. They're so adapted to their suffering that they can't contact grace. So if we can hold that for them, what happens is all of their support team can get in. It gets in, gets them, takes them out, they're clear, they're done. That's how we clear them. So we're not trying to destroy them, tear them apart. Why are we adding suffering to something that's already suffering?
It's not how, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's quite an interesting thing. And I mean, this is a massive subject, but I just wanted to throw that around today, because one of the things we say in our intro is that we don't back off from the woo-woo, right? And I thought,
bring
I
us the
think you guys are probably sick of us talking about paradigms for a while. So
let's get to the woo-woo stuff.
So I thought we'd have a look at it.
It's like when Jack, I think it's all true, because when Jack and I work together and we're removing that ancestral lineage stuff and all that crap and the entities and demonics and all of that, Jack's the one who brings it up.
Yeah.
But I'm the one who transmutes it. And I only transmute it with love.
Yeah.
It's love and grace. It's ease and grace. Getting them up and out can be kind of the hard bit. That's where Jack gets in there and goes, he's kind of like a magnet and he brings them out. And then I transmute them. That's the magic of it. But it's true. There's no fight. Like fight is a really low frequency.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember being at this retreat once, and there was this woman doing entity clearings, and it was like the biggest show I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
She should have been on stage. And she's, swearing at them and telling them to fuck off and all. I'm like, what are you doing? And as soon as because she didn't know that what I knew, she didn't know what I could see. And I could see her removing 1, 2 would come in, remove 2, 4 would come in. She was just an open door. It was like it was just a massive door that she was opening. It was crazy. Like, what are you doing, woman?
Yeah.
You need to stop.
Yeah. But that's the paradigm. I mean, here we go. We hit paradigms again. People are caught in this idea. That's the takeaway. If you get nothing else from this today, is that, are we going to tell you how to clear entities today? No, we're not. Because first of all, don't go swimming in the ocean.
100%. And this is true, because if you sit there and go, well, I need to know how to get rid of an entity, it means you're now in agreement to being with entities to clear.
That's right. And you don't want to kick that off. It is a very serious responsibility to do that work.
Yes. And I'm going to tell you, in this world, there is not many people who actually know how to do it successfully.
Yeah. A lot of people will, what they'll do is, as you say, they might be able to move an entity off, but they don't cure anything. What they do is they just take it off. And it's like, well, okay, first of all, if you haven't sealed the ruptures in the person's field, all the entities that you've cleared, the moment they walk out that door, they're going to walk past their first rose bush and suck in a poor old nature spirit, mind its own business. Yeah. And they're just going to do it again and again. Every wayward they walk past, they're going to suck in. And then next thing you know, they're going to be riddled with entities.
And I believe, really, if you want to make sure that you're living in the ease and grace, and it's the hardest job that I think that we've got on planet, to be honest, is to learn to really love ourselves unconditionally.
Yeah.
Warts and all. Just really sit there and go, all the experiences I've been through, all the things I've said wrong, I've done wrong or whatever, I need to love that part of me, because it's going to it's making me who I am today. And if you don't like who you are today, change. It's simple as that. Just change. change your thought forms, change your language around yourself, change your feelings around your past, your present, your future, and change your actions. And if you sit there and go, oh, it's all so hard, suck it up, buttercup. Yes, it fucking is. But you just do it anyway. And you don't have to heal the world. Your job is to heal yourself. Could you imagine if every single person in this world healed themselves? That is healing the world.
That's it.
That is
Yeah.
healing the world. And it's not going to be done overnight. It is it is just every freaking day, every day, every day, every day. And you may not nail it. I haven't nailed it yet, but I'm always actioning towards it. I'm always working on me, because if I work on me, there's a consciousness, and my responsibility is to make sure that my consciousness is positive. So when the collective consciousness are picking up something, they're picking up that instead of war, instead of famine, instead of all the other things, or the why me, or the I can'ts. Stop saying the I can'ts and start saying, well, what if I freaking could? What would it look like?
This is what I can, and I need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, no one's going to stop you eating that third piece of freaking cake. You are. No one's going to stop you opening the packet of biscuits. You can. Just don't buy in them freaking first place.
Yeah.
You know, a craving's a craving. A craving is only a craving when you can feed it. When you stop feeding the craving, you don't crave anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's whole layers of stuff in there. So I suppose, so we should run off now, but
Yes. Amazing podcast. Guys, please contact us. Let us know how you're going with these, like what's coming up for you. Did you get shitty? Most of you will get shitty with these ones. You've got through like these experiences. You'll want to, resent it. And then you'll go, okay, yes, I love it. I hate it. I love it. Let us know. And let us know what you want us to share with you too, because I think this is going to open Pandora's box to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can't even tell you what a small scratch in the surface of this subject.
We haven't even taken the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's exciting. Thanks, Jason. We'll see you next time, everybody. We love you and thank you.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.